Hi all, Happy New Year. Welcome to my channel Chadviri Talks. I wish you all a very good and prosperous year and all your wishes come true in this year 2024. So today's video is all about how to filter the data that is stored in the database. We will try to say data filtering based on the data that is stored in the database. In my previous video, I have shown you how to store the data into the database and how to query the data. In this particular video, you will try to see how to filter the data that is stored in the database. So today's video is all about data filtering. So filtering data in SQL. So as you all know that in this digital world, we would be doing a lot of transactions related to payments, our consumer analytics, the products which we purchase online and all. As an individual, you yourself consider from past 10 years, how many number of transactions you have done, the data you have dealt with, like the amount of transactions you have done for food, your daily goods, your bank transactions, the amount you deposited, the amount you withdraw, all these counts. If you yourself count, it could be more number of transactions. Similarly, when you consider for a company or an organization, it would be more than what you consider. If you wanted to set or get a limited set of data out of the entire data that is present, for those kind of requirements, you would be using this data filtering functionality in our data engineering world. So today we will try to see what are the different ways we would be using to bring the data that is stored in the database by filtering it. So today's concept would be usage of where clause, grouping of data, and usage of having clause. I will clearly show you the difference between all of these three in detail with a practical session. Now let's start with the practical session of bringing the data from the database that is already stored in the database. So as I mentioned, so we have a database that is already set up and we have people's table and states table here. So today we'll try to use the people's table for our practical session. Now let's go to our SQL prompt. As I mentioned previously, I'm just trying to increase the font for you for have a better visualization. Gives you a better visualization for you. So it's like a simple select clause will be used to bring the data that is already stored in the database. When I try to run this query, you can see I have data related to peoples that is stored in the peoples table in the backend database. Now out of which I wanted to apply our filtering. As I mentioned, where clause is used for filtering of the data. So how to apply a where clause we will try to see. So here we have different columns like first name, last name, city, state, quiz points, teams, company, number ID and all. Now first I will try to use the state column for my filtering. Now let's apply. So whenever you wanted to filter the data, whenever you wanted to get a data related to a particular field or a value, you would be using your where clause, where state is equal to, you can see we have n number of states. We have California, New York, Delaware, Michigan, Illinois, Texas, Connecticut, Alaska. We have multiple states, out of which I wanted to get the data related to California state. You can see here I applied a filter where state is equal to California, and let's try to run the query. Now you can see the data that is fetched from the database after running this filter query is only related to California. There is no other state code. Now we wanted to see how this data can be further be filtered. So your question may occur, only one level of filters can be applied, or we can apply multiple level of filters. Yes, you can apply even multi-level filters also. For that you need to use your logical operators like AND clause or an OR clause. So people who are from computer science background or electronics background or electrical and electronics background, you might aware of the logical operators like AND or NOT kind of functionalities. Same set of keywords can be used in your SQL oriented kind of queries also when you wanted to do multi-level filtering. Now I'm using an AND clause. Now I am taking the column team here to get the data related to red team only. Please remember, if you see the query which I have written, I am using capital letters for California and lowercase letters red for team. We have to give the clause based on the values that are stored in the database. If I give a lowercase California, it will not fetch the data because the data in the database is stored with uppercase California, CA. And similarly for red also, the data is stored in lowercase. I have given lowercase. Now let's try to run this query and we will try to see the data related to California state and also with team red. You can see my query got completed. I got the data. The state code is California, which is my first level of filter. Then my team is red. I don't have any other team apart from red. This is like you can apply multiple conditional clauses and you can bring the data and you can filter the data based on how you wanted to get your data based on your requirements. Now, I have shown about an AND clause. I want you all to show how to use a OR clause. Means the team can be one or more. So let's try to run this query and try to see what are the different teams we have. We have team red, blue, green. Now I want the data from California state and the team can be either a red team or a blue team. So let's try to filter the data. So here I can apply a OR condition. Team is equal to blue. So this should be in braces because my first level of filtering is state code is equal to California and the team can be either red or blue. That is my second level of filter. It's like an OR condition. So the person can be coming from a red team or the person can be coming from a blue team. That will be presented to our resultant data set. Let's try to run this query and see the output. You can see we got the data and we got state code which is California and we got the team red and blue. There is no other team apart from these two. In this way you can filter the data and you can apply multi-level filtering also based on your requirements. I hope where clause is clear to you and also filtering of data is very much known to you now. Let's go to the next concept of grouping of data. Again, I'm going to my first query, which is select star from people. Here we have different state codes. Now I want you all to know how to filter the data based on the state codes. Means what are the different states that are available. For that kind of a requirement, you will be using a group by clause. Group by state. So here you should be very much careful. You cannot use star. You need to specify what all the columns that are specified in your group by clause. If we have given state, only state should be present. Along with the state column, you can give any of your aggregate functions like count, sum, max, min. In next video, I will explain you what are the aggregate functions. For today, we will try to see only count function. But before that, we will try to see how do the grouping of data has been happened. Even though it is millions of records, when you wanted to know what are the distinct values or what state codes are present, we will be using this group by clause. Now let's try to run the query. You can see we have state codes around, I guess, 47 state codes are present in the backend people's table. Now, if you want to get the count of population for each and every state code, you can apply the aggregate function count. Now, let's try to run this query. Now, if you can see, you have got the population from the people's table for each and every state that is stored in the backend people's table and the count of people living in that particular state code. We have different state codes like Illinois, there are 19 people. We have Michigan, 19 people. We have New Hampshire, like one person. New Jersey, we have 7 people. New York, we have 62 people. In this way, you can get count of your population like living in that particular state code. The other set of concept what we plan to discuss today is having clause. So once you group the data, if you wanted to filter the data after grouping based on your grouped data set, if you wanted to filter for those kind of requirements, you would be using a having clause. So let's try to see how to apply having clause. So here I'm trying to filter the data to get the population greater than 50. So I want you all to get the output in such a way that the state codes who is like in which state code people more than 50 are living. Now for that kind of a requirement, we are using the having clause. So let's try to run the query and see the output. So you can see I'm still selecting the state code column and the count of the population living in that particular state, and I'm grouping the data by state code and then applying the having clause. Let's try to run this query. You got only 4 states. Out of our 47 states, we have only 4 states who is allowing you to like having a population of more than 50 people. So in this way, you can use your group by clause and having clause. Guys, please remember, many of your certification exams or your interview questions, they may ask a difference between your where clause and a having clause. In a simple fundamental rule, where clause is to filter the data. Irrespective of any condition, if you want to filter the data, you can use your where clause. Having clause is used only with group by clause to filter the data after grouping. Where clause is just to filter the data. Having clause is explicitly used after grouping the data in order to filter the data. I hope you got a difference between your where clause and your having clause. Now let's try to see the difference of using a where clause, group by clause and having clause together. Now we have a state code here. I'm trying to take state as California and I'm trying to group the data based on team. So I'll try to get all data related to California table state code and how many teams are present in that particular team. We will try to see. We will try to remove having clause now. First, we will try to see how many teams are there and what is the count for each and every team. You can see we have 3 teams. We have blue, green, and red. And if you want to apply having clause, you can apply a condition here greater than 30 or 30 or 40 because we want only like blue team is having 38, so we apply greater than 40, you will be getting your green team and your red team. You can see out of your 3 teams, we got only 2 teams who are hosting more than 40 people. And if you want less than also, you can apply this condition less than 30 or 40. You can use only the team should be less than 40. In that case, you will be getting only one team, which is your blue team, who are having 38 people. In this way, you can use a combination of your where clause, your group by clause, and your having clause together. I hope this query gives you a clear understanding of how to use the where clause to filter the data, how to group the data, and how to apply your filter after grouping the data. Normally, when you're trying to do any sort of your reporting kind of an operation, these queries helps you to use multiple level of filtering and also grouping the data. As an extension of the same query, I will try to show how to use multiple columns in the group by clause also. So now let's go back to the same query of seeing what are the different columns which we can use for multiple level grouping. So here in the same query, I will try to take it again. Here I'm not applying the where clause. I am just taking state and team together. So for each and every state, how many teams are there, you will be getting it in the output. The first level of grouping is state and the second level of grouping is team. I'm just removing the having clause for now. Let's try to see how do the output looks. You can see For Alaska, we have only one team, which is red. And for Arizona, we have three teams again, blue, green, and red. For California also, we have three teams, blue, green, and red. For Connecticut also, we have three teams. For Delaware, we have only one team, which is blue. For Florida, we have three teams, which is blue, green, and red. For Georgia also, we have three teams. So in this way, you will be getting a multi-level grouping of data also. When you wanted to do a multi-level grouping, you can use all those columns separated by a comma in the query what you wanted to group. So this query might give you a multi-level grouping. Suppose if you have 5 columns or 6 columns, still you can do a multi-level grouping based on the columns that are available in your table. Now, after this, if you wanted to do a filter, still you can do it. So you can filter the data to get the count less than 40 after applying your grouping condition. So you can see we have all. If you want a greater, you can apply greater than 40. It will try to give the teams who for each and every state where the count is greater than 40. We have only California. That's what we are getting. Let's apply 30. We'll get more states. So you can see we have California, Florida, Texas, who are having greater than 30. We have only 3 state codes. In this way, you can do a multi-level grouping and multi-level filtering of data using your where clause, your group by clause with a having condition, and you can get your resultant data in the output. I hope this video gives you a clear understanding of how to filter the data that is stored in the database. Let's continue in the next video with a new other concept. Thank you. Have a great day.